Disgrace by J. M. Coetzee. Chapter 18. Petrus has borrowed a tractor, from where he has no idea, to which he has coupled the old rotary plough that has lain rusting behind the stable since before Lucy's time. In a matter of hours he has ploughed the whole of his land, all very swift and businesslike, all very unlike Africa. In olden times, that is to say 10 years ago, it would have taken him days with a hand plough and oxen. Against this new Petrus, what chance does Lucy stand? Petrus arrived as the dig man, the carry man, the water man. Now he is too busy for that kind of thing. Where is Lucy going to find someone to dig, to carry, to water? Were this a chess game, he would say that Lucy has been outplayed on all fronts. If she had any sense, she would quit, approach the land bank, work out a deal, consign the farm to Petrus, return to civilization. She could open boarding kennels in the suburbs. She could branch out into cats. She could even go back to what she and her friends did in their hippie days: ethnic weaving, ethnic pot decoration, ethnic basket weaving, selling beads to tourists. Defeated. It is not hard to imagine Lucy in 10 years' time, a heavy woman with lines of sadness on her face, wearing clothes long out of fashion, talking to her pets, eating alone. Not much of a life, but better than passing her days in fear of the next attack when the dogs will not be enough to protect her and no one will answer the telephone. He approaches Petrus on the site he has chosen for his new residence, on a slight rise overlooking the farmhouse. The surveyor has already paid his visit. The pegs are in place. "You are not going to do the building yourself, are you?" he asks. Petrus chuckles. "No, it is a skill job, building," he says. "Bricklaying, plastering, all that, you need to be skilled. No, I am going to dig the trenches. That I can do by myself. This is not such a skill job. That is just a job for a boy. For digging, you just have to be a boy." Petrus speaks the word with real amusement. Once he was a boy. Now he is no longer. Now he can play at being one as Marie Antoinette would play at being a milkmaid. He comes to the point. "If Lucy and I went back to Cape Town, would you be prepared to keep her part of the farm running? We would pay you a salary, or you could do it on a percentage basis, a percentage of the profits." "I must keep Lucy's farm running," says Petrus. "I must be the farm manager." He pronounces the words as if he had never heard them before, as if they have popped up before him like a rabbit out of a hat. "Yes, we could call you the farm manager if you like. And Lucy will come back one day." "I'm sure she will come back. She is very attached to this farm. She has no intention of giving it up. But she has been having a hard time recently. She needs a break, a holiday." "By the sea," says Petrus, and smiles, showing teeth yellow from smoking. "Yes, by the sea if she wants." He is irritated by Petrus's habit of letting words hang in the air. There was a time when he thought he might become friends with Petrus. Now he detests him. Talking to Petrus is like punching a bag filled with sand. "I don't see that either of us is entitled to question Lucy if she decides to take a break," he says. "Neither you nor I. How long I must be farm manager?" "I don't know yet, Petrus. I haven't discussed it with Lucy. I am just exploring the possibility, seeing if you are agreeable. And I must do all the things. I must feed the dogs. I must plant the vegetables. I must go to the market." "Petrus, there's no need to make a list. There won't be dogs. I am just asking in a general way, if Lucy took a holiday, would you be prepared to look after the farm?" "How I must go to the market if I do not have the combi?" "That is a detail. We can discuss the details later. I just want a general answer, yes or no." Petrus shakes his head. "It is too much, he says. Out of the blue comes a call from the police, from a Detective Sergeant Esterhoser in Port Elizabeth. His car has been recovered. It is in the yard at the New Brighton station, where he may identify and reclaim it. 2 men have been arrested. "That's wonderful," he says. "I had almost given up hope." "No, sir. The docket stays open 2 years. What condition is the car in? Is it drivable? Yes, you can drive it. In an unfamiliar state of elation, he drives with Lucy to Port Elizabeth and then to New Brighton, where they follow directions to Van de Venter Street, to a flat, fortress like police station surrounded by a 2 meter fence topped with razor wire. Emphatic signs forbid parking in front of the station. They park far down the road. I'll wait in the car, says Lucy. Are you sure? I don't like this place. I'll wait. He presents himself at the charge office, is directed along a maze of corridors to the vehicle theft unit. Detective Sergeant Esterhuser, a plump, blond little man, searches through his files, then conducts him to a yard where scores of vehicles stand parked bumper to bumper. Up and down the ranks they go. Where did you find it? He asks Esterhuser. Here in New Brighton. You were lucky. Usually with the older Corollas, the buggers chop it up for parts. You said you made arrests. 2 guys. We got them on a tip-off. Found a whole house full of stolen goods. TVs, videos, fridges, you name it. Where are the men now? They're out on bail. Wouldn't it have made more sense to call me in before you set them free, to have me identify them? Now that they are out on bail, they will just disappear. You know that. The detective is stiffly silent. They stop before a white Corolla. That is not my car, he says. My car has CA plates. It says so on the docket. He points to the number on the sheet, CA 507644. They respray them. They put on false plates. They change plates around. Even so, that is not my car. Can you open it? The detective opens the car. The interior smells of wet newspaper and fried chicken. I don't have a sound system, he says. It's not my car. Are you sure my car isn't somewhere else in the lot? They complete their tour of the lot. His car is not there. Esterhuser scratches his head. I'll check into it, he says. There must be a mix-up. Leave me your number and I'll give you a call. Lucy is sitting behind the wheel of the combi, her eyes closed. He raps on the window and she unlocks the door. It's all a mistake, he says, getting in. They have a Corolla, but it's not mine. Did you see the men? The men? You said 2 men had been arrested. They're out on bail. Anyway, it's not my car, so whoever they arrested can't be whoever took my car. There is a long silence. Does that follow logically? She says. She starts the engine, yanks fiercely on the wheel. I didn't realize you were keen for them to be caught, he says. You can hear the irritation in his voice, but does nothing to check it. If they are caught, it means a trial, and all that a trial entails. You will have to testify. Are you ready for that? Lucy switches off the engine. Her face is stiff as she fights off tears. In any event, the trail is cold. Our friends aren't going to be caught, not with the police in the state that they are in, so let us forget about that. He gathers himself. He is becoming a nag, a bore, but there is no helping that. Lucy, it really is time for you to face up to your choices. Either you stay on in a house full of ugly memories and go on brooding on what happened to you, or you put the whole episode behind you and start a new chapter elsewhere. Those, as I see it, are the alternatives. I know you would like to stay, but shouldn't you at least consider the other route? Can't the two of us talk about it rationally? She shakes her head. I can't talk any more, David. I just can't, she says, speaking softly, rapidly, as though afraid the words will dry up. I know I'm not being clear. I wish I could explain, but I can't. Because of who you are and who I am, I can't. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry about your car. I'm sorry about the disappointment. She rests her head on her arms. Her shoulders heave as she gives in. Again the feeling washes over him, listlessness, indifference, but also weightlessness, as if he has been eaten away from inside, and only the eroded shell of his heart remains. How, he thinks to himself, can a man in this state find words, find music that will bring back the dead? Sitting on the sidewalk, not 5 yards away, a woman in slippers and a ragged dress is staring fiercely at them. He lays a protective hand on Lucy's shoulder. My daughter, he thinks, my dearest daughter, whom it has fallen on me to guide, who one of these days will have to guide me. Can she smell his thoughts? It is he who takes over the driving. Halfway home, Lucy, to his surprise, speaks. "It was so personal," she says. "It was done with such personal hatred. That was what stunned me more than anything. The rest was expected. But why did they hate me so? I had never set eyes on them." He waits for more, but there is no more for the moment. "It was history speaking through them," he offers at last. "A history of wrong. Think of it that way if it helps. It may have seemed personal, but it wasn't. It came down from the ancestors. That doesn't make it easier. The shock simply doesn't go away. The shock of being hated, I mean. In the act." In the act. Does she mean what he thinks she means? "Are you still afraid?" he asks. "Yes." "Afraid they are going to come back?" "Yes." "Did you think if you didn't lay a charge against them with the police, they wouldn't come back? Was that what you told yourself?" "No." "Then what?" She is silent. "Lucy, it could be so simple. Close down the kennels, do it at once. Lock up the house. Pay Petrus to guard it. Take a break for 6 months or a year until things have improved in this country. Go overseas, go to Holland, I'll pay. When you come back, you can take stock, make a fresh start." "If I leave now, David, I won't come back. Thank you for the offer, but it won't work. There is nothing you can suggest that I haven't been through 100 times myself." "Then what do you propose to do?" "I don't know, but whatever I decide, I want to decide by myself without being pushed. There are things you just don't understand." "What don't I understand?" "To begin with, you don't understand what happened to me that day. You are concerned for my sake, which I appreciate. You think you understand, but finally you don't, because you can't." He slows down and pulls off the road. "Don't," says Lucy. "Not here. This is a bad stretch, too risky to stop." He picks up speed. "On the contrary, I understand all too well," he says. "I will pronounce the word we have avoided hitherto. You were raped, multiply, by 3 men. And you were in fear of your life. You were afraid that after you had been used you would be killed, disposed of, because you were nothing to them. And," her voice is now a whisper, "and I did nothing. I did not save you." That is his own confession. She gives an impatient little flick of the hand. "Don't blame yourself, David. You couldn't have been expected to rescue me. If they had come a week earlier, I would have been alone in the house. But you are right. I meant nothing to them. Nothing. I could feel it." There is a pause. "I think they have done it before," she resumes, her voice steadier now. "At least the 2 older ones have. I think they are rapists first and foremost. Stealing things is just incidental, a sideline. I think they do rape." "You think they will come back?" "I think I am in their territory. They have marked me. They will come back for me." "Then you can't possibly stay." "Why not?" "Because that would be an invitation to them to return." She broods a long while before she answers. "But isn't there another way of looking at it, David? What if, what if that is the price one has to pay for staying on? Perhaps that is how they look at it. Perhaps that is how I should look at it too. They see me as owing something. They see themselves as debt collectors, tax collectors. Why should I be allowed to live here without paying? Perhaps that is what they tell themselves." "I am sure they tell themselves many things. It is in their interest to make up stories that justify them. But trust your feelings. You said you felt only hatred for them." "Hatred? When it comes to men and sex, David, nothing surprises me anymore. Maybe for men, hating the woman makes sex more exciting. You are a man, you ought to know. When you have sex with someone strange, when you trap her, hold her down, get her under you, put all your weight on her, isn't it a bit like killing? Pushing the knife in, exiting afterwards, leaving your body behind covered in blood? Doesn't it feel like murder, like getting away with murder?" "You are a man. You ought to know. Does one speak to one's father like that? Are she and he on the same side?" "Perhaps," he says. "Sometimes. For some men." And then rapidly, without forethought, Was it the same with both of them, like fighting with death? They spur each other on. That's probably why they do it together, like dogs in a pack. And the third one, the boy? He was there to learn. They have passed the psychad sign. Time is almost up. If they had been white, you wouldn't talk about them in this way, he says. If they had been white thugs from Dispatch, for instance. Wouldn't I? No, you wouldn't. I am not blaming you, that is not the point. But it is something new you are talking about. Slavery. They want you for their slave. Not slavery, subjection, subjugation. He shakes his head. It's too much, Lucy. Sell up. Sell the farm to Petrus and come away. No. That is where the conversation ends. But Lucy's words echo in his mind, covered in blood. What does she mean? Was he right after all when he dreamt of a bed of blood, a bath of blood? They do rape. He thinks of the three visitors driving away in the not-too-old Toyota, the back seat piled with household goods, their penises, their weapons tucked warm and satisfied between their legs. Purring is the word that comes to mind. They must have had every reason to be pleased with their afternoon's work. They must have felt happy in their vocation. He remembers as a child poring over the word rape in newspaper reports, trying to puzzle out what exactly it meant, wondering what the letter P, usually so gentle, was doing in the middle of a word held in such horror that no one should utter it aloud. In an art book in the library, there was a painting called The Rape of the Sabine Women, men on horseback in skimpy Roman armor, women in gauze veils flinging their arms in the air and wailing. What had all this attitudinizing to do with what he suspected rape to be, the man lying on top of the woman and pushing himself into her? He thinks of Byron. Among the legions of countesses and kitchen maids Byron pushed himself into, there were no doubt those who called it rape, but none surely had cause to fear that the session would end with her throat being slit. From where he stands, from where Lucy stands, Byron looks very old-fashioned indeed. Lucy was frightened, frightened near to death. Her voice choked, she could not breathe, her limbs went numb. This is not happening, she said to herself as the men forced her down. It is just a dream, a nightmare. While the men, for their part, drank up her fear, revelled in it, did all they could to hurt her, to menace her, to heighten her terror. Call your dogs, they said to her. Go on, call your dogs. No dogs? Then let us show you dogs. You don't understand. You weren't there, says Bev Shaw. Well, she is mistaken. Lucy's intuition is right after all. He does understand. He can, if he concentrates, if he loses himself, be there, be the men, inhabit them, fill them with the ghost of himself. The question is, does he have it in him to be the woman? From the solitude of his room, he writes his daughter a letter. Dearest Lucy, with all the love in the world, I must say the following. You are on the brink of a dangerous error. You wish to humble yourself before history, but the road you are following is the wrong one. It will strip you of all honor. You will not be able to live with yourself. I plead with you. Listen to me. Your father. Half an hour later, an envelope is pushed under his door. Dear David, you have not been listening to me. I am not the person you know. I am a dead person and do not know yet what will bring me back to life. All I know is I cannot go away. You do not see this, and I do not know what more I can do to make you see. It is as if you have chosen deliberately to sit in a corner where the rays of the sun do not shine. I think of you as one of the three chimpanzees, the one with his paws over his eyes. Yes, the road I am following may be the wrong one, but if I leave the farm now, I will leave defeated, and will taste that defeat for the rest of my life. I cannot be a child forever. You cannot be a father forever. I know you mean well, but you are not the guide I need. Not at this time. Yours, Lucy. That is their exchange. That is Lucy's last word. The business of dog killing is over for the day. The black bags are piled at the door, each with a body and a soul inside. He and Bev Shaw lie in each other's arms on the floor of the surgery. In half an hour, Bev will go back to her bill, and he will begin loading the bags. "You have never told me much about your first wife," says Bev Shaw. "Lucy doesn't speak about her either." Lucy's mother was Dutch. She must have told you that. Evelina, Evie. After the divorce, she went back to Holland. Later, she remarried. Lucy didn't get on with the new stepfather. She asked to return to South Africa. "So she chose you?" "In a sense. She also chose a certain surround, a certain horizon. Now I am trying to get her to leave again, if only for a break. She has family in Holland, friends. Holland may not be the most exciting of places to live, but at least it doesn't breed nightmares." "And?" He shrugs. "Lucy isn't inclined, for the present, to heed any advice I give. She says I am not a good guide." "But you were a teacher." "Of the most incidental kind. Teaching was never a vocation for me. Certainly I never aspired to teach people how to live. I was what used to be called a scholar. I wrote books about dead people. That was where my heart was. I taught only to make a living." She waits for more, but he is not in the mood to go on. The sun is down. It is getting cold. They have not made love. They have in effect ceased to pretend that this is what they do together. In his head, Byron, alone on the stage, draws a breath to sing. He is on the point of setting off for Greece. At the age of 35, he has begun to understand that life is precious. Sunt iacrymae rerum, et mentem mortalia tangunt. Those will be Byron's words, he is sure of it. As for the music, it hovers somewhere on the horizon. It has not come yet. "You mustn't worry," says Bev Shaw. Her head is against his chest. Presumably she can hear his heart, with whose beat the hexameter keeps step. "Bill and I will look after her. We'll go often to the farm. And there's Petrus. Petrus will keep an eye out." "Fatherly Petrus." "Yes." Lucy says I can't go on being a father forever. I can't imagine, in this life, not being Lucy's father. She runs her fingers through the stubble of his hair. "It will be all right," she whispers. "You will see."